pleased to introduce our next presenter, Richard Houlihan. He's the CEO of EUDAMED in Bulgaria. Mr. Houlihan was a technical manager for MDR EUDAMED until April 2019, responsible for the design, development and implementation of the MDR EUDAMED application and the associated data exchange for machine-to-machine data transactions. The title is again Introduction to MDR EUDAMED. A warm welcome, Mr. Houlihan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right. Jeez, there's a lot of you here. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick presentation on Eudamed, the current commission position, and the elephant in the room, the lovely delay that's coming with the pushing back of Eudamed until 2022. So, first of all, my name is Richard Houlihan, 25 years in IT. By the way, I'm limited to 30 minutes and I tend to talk an awful lot, so I will have to speak relatively fast in positions. If I speak too fast, please pull me back. So, the last 25 years in IT, the last 8 years I was involved with Eudamed.eu and then Eudamed.eu. For Eudamed.eu or MDR EUDAMED, that was the last 2 years, where I ran the development teams, heavily influenced the implementation, a lot of the decisions that were made, and basically looked after all of the developers, the business analysts, and everybody associated, all levels of the project, including with the directly with the business of the member states. Now, my company, we founded it in 2018. The main reason behind the company was to literally help the industry, because what I experienced inside the commission, while very interesting and really good journey, they're not going to give a whole heap of assistance to manufacturers. They're going to give a lot of help to competent authorities. The support system that they're putting in directly from manufacturers consists of about 2 people behind a functional mailbox. There will be no call center, there'll be nobody to phone when things go wrong. You'll email. And then these people that are running the functional mailbox, they'll pass the email to the developers who are now working on new things. And eventually, it'll come back to you. So there's very, very, very little support. So don't expect a lot of things to come from it. Current situation. Right, we all know that legislation was adopted in 2017. Up to June 2019, the Commission were saying in RAPS in Brussels, and there was another one in Paris, and then the Commissioner came out in August, I believe. They said everything is on time. There's nothing delayed. The Commissioner even said that we were going to deliver the core modules in 2017, or in 2020. But then the move from one directorate to another, a directorate's like a ministry for those that don't know, they've literally moved it across the road from DG Grow to DG Sante for the second time. And they've moved the whole of medical devices, of which Eudamed is part of it. As soon as they did that, there was this little glimmer that said they could delay it. And that's exactly what they did. I expected maybe 3-6 months, but they've pushed it right back to May 2022. And a lot of the pushback, they weren't ready with certain things, but a lot of the pushback as well is to do with the IT teams, because not everybody's going to transfer across. So there's some major holes being left in the IT teams, and I reckon they're going to lose at least 6 months on this. Karina mentioned the notified bodies. We've got the 7 now. The Commission is saying that we'll have, I think it's 19 by the end of December, and then they said through next year it's expected to exponentially grow, or at least that's what the plan is. So, first of all, I want to look at the MDCG publications. One of the MDCG publications was around legacy devices, and the Commission didn't want the legacy devices. The Commission wanted them to stay with Eudamed.eu, competent authorities only looking after them, and we'd start with a totally clean system for Eudamed.eu. But the MDCG, the member states, they all insisted on the legacy devices being brought in, which caused a lot of trouble for the IT team, because we had tied the EUDAMED as the key for the entire system. But you can't have duplicates when it's a key, which is just the way it is. So now what they're doing is they're going to tie the legislation to the EUDAMED. So for the legacy devices, it's going to slightly change how your EUDAMED goes in. You'll put it in as normal, but Eudamed will prefix it with a B hyphen for the basic EUDI, which doesn't currently exist. And then it'll be a D hyphen for the actual EUDI itself. And the reason for this is, when you add a new record under MDR, the machine will make the connection because it's got to have the same EUDIs in there, but you're going to have full transparency all the way through. And from the public perspective, which the Commission keep telling us this is for, from the public perspective, you're going to have all your LDD devices all the way through to the MDR. But you don't have to put in all your MDD devices, right? This guidance from the MDCG, it's all about after Eudamed goes live. So it was going to be March, now it's May 2022 if all goes well. So for the devices that are remaining under the MDD certification, if there's a vigilance issue, that device has to be in Eudamed before you can report your vigilance issue. If it's put on the market after Eudamed goes live for the first time while certified under MDD, which is highly unlikely at this stage, then you have to put it in as well. So it's only if there's vigilance issues. But you literally will not be able to enter the device. It'll be refused point blank if you try and upload a bare form or one of the other many forms that are in there. So with your MDD data, you need to make sure you have it to hand. If there's an incident, you have a limited amount of days, I think it's 15 days, something like that, to get your mere form in there. If there's a serious incident, you've only got 2 days to get it in there. You must keep your data ready, just in case. Because if you're relying on an IT guy and you phone him up and go, listen, can you get the data for X device, we need to add it. If he's at holidays, if he doesn't know where it is, so collate your data, just keep it to hand. It won't cost you an awful lot more to keep it to hand just now. The other one that the MDCG issued some guidance on was the nomenclature system. The nomenclature in the good old days was the GMDN. But the GMDN would not give it away for free. They said they had to be paid for the codes, whereas the regulation said it had to be given away free to the manufacturers, etc. So there was a lot of toing and froing for a couple of years, many long meetings on it, and the upshot is that they decided to use the Italian system, the CND, as the nomenclature for Eudamed. Now this is going to evolve into the EMDN, and they're currently working on it. One of the things you have to remember about the CND systems is when you match the GMDN directly, it might go to, say, to level 3, and there might be 7 levels. I think the longest one is about 7 levels. You have to pick from the lowest level on the branch. If there's 7 levels, you have to pick something from the 7th level, and that's how the categorization is going to work. When eventually Eudamed turns up, all the economic operators are going to have to register. Authorized reps, manufacturers, not distributors, system and procedure pack, producers, and the importers. The only one who doesn't have to register is the distributor. If you hold multiple roles, if you're an importer and you're a manufacturer, then you have to register multiple times. The result is you're going to end up with multiple SRNs. Within the system, you will be able to basically log in once and associate yourselves with them all, but you will have multiple SRNs and you're going to end up with multiple people to manage the things as well. The first person who registers is going to be your local actor administrator. That is the person who's going to manage all your company information. If you want to do the machine-to-machine data transfers, he's the guy who's going to request and organise some of that for you. But registration is a bit away yet, so I'll move on quickly from this rather than labouring on it. But again, just don't forget, multiple SRNs, multiple registrations. Eudamed is huge. right? It really is. There's only 6 main modules in it. Actors, devices, certificates of notified bodies, vigilance, clinical investigations and performance studies, and your post-market surveillance. Each one of these is a project in itself. On top of these 6 main modules, there's 14 horizontal modules. A horizontal module is a module that touches off more than one of these. For example, your notification system. We were estimating approximately 100,000 emails a day are going to be sent out from the notification system. The data exchange. The data exchange is basically recreating everything from the front end again. The data exchange has to provide the same add, edit and update functionality as the front end, but on a machine-to-machine basis. So I spent a lot of time with the team that were doing the data exchange on a nerdy level. It was actually quite interesting. But it is huge. And for any of you who think that this is going to be the same as uploading to the FDA, where on your spreadsheet you can have everything in one line, you're seriously mistaken. This, from XML machine-to-machine standpoint, is complicated.
Yeah, Bill.
I've worked on many of these things over the 25 years, and this is the most awkward and complicated one I have ever done. So,
I think he's
when you are looking at your projects, and when you are looking at what's coming up, just because the Commission have pushed back until 2022 on Eudamed,
was sound on
don't think you should
one
sit
page.
back.
I've checked tomorrow working.
Consider it a gift.
Yeah.
Because the majority of companies were nowhere near ready.
Okay.
Not even close to being ready for their Eudamed. So consider this a gift where you do have time to collate the data. You do have time
I switch on when you are introduced.
to manage everything. For the MDR registered devices, if you have a vigilance issue before Eudamed goes live, you're still going to have to report all that to your current competent authority, same as you do under MPD. But what the Commission haven't advised on yet is what are you going to do with the data? Because Eudamed, the whole idea is end-to-end. Everything MDR, legacy devices aside, but everything MDR is to go into Eudamed. From I don't know what happened, but this is what was going to be available in March. Now, Corinne also mentioned this, just because Eudamed is delayed, it's got no other bearing on the MDR. All your reporting requirements still maintain as they are under the MDD. The Article 123 that she spoke about, I did a podcast with Monair a couple of weeks ago, I think released this week, and to prepare for that I went through Article 123 and I went through the Section D with all the painful descriptions of everything that's going on. And there's a lot of things that have been pushed back. And I've also been told that some of the notified bodies, they're actually already asking people for their SRNs. You can't get one. The SRN is a generated number from Eudamed. It's impossible to get it anywhere else. So if your notified body says we can't give you your certificate of conformity because you don't have your SRN, tell them nobody's getting an SRN. Impossible. It's literally is generated. As soon as the competent authority clicks validate, the system generates the number for you. Great thing about standing up in front of hotlines, it gets very thirsty very quickly. So, why is Eudamed considered to be so special? A lot of the companies were very proactive and got prepared with MDR, but they neglected Eudamed down the side. Eudamed requires an obscene amount of data. It's only 74 data elements, but it's how these data elements are put together. It's how you get the different versions in. Because if you're doing a machine-to-machine setup, you don't just do the exact same doorway every time. And I call them doorways, they're called services. But you'll have one service for version 1. You have a different service for multiple after that. You've got independent version. The basic UDI looks after its own versions, UDI-DI under its own versions. Same with packaging and market information. They're all separated out so they don't increment the versions of the other one. So you can update your packaging without affecting the UDI-DI. And again, from a marketing perspective, with the public being able to see all this data, it's probably a good thing. It's a change, it is a full change management program for you guys, because you're going to have to put processes in place where the RAs get the data together. The RAs inform the IT team. Eudamed's IT. No misunderstandings there. It is a piece of software, and it does require the IT guys if you're doing the machine to machine. But the IT guys, they do what the business tells them. The business are the ones that are supposed to drive this piece. So the business also need to understand what's going on so that they can have the conversation with the IT guys. So please consider this a full change management program. The uploads, extremely complex. They've put in an incredible amount of data rules. The main data rules are so complex because of Eudamed.eu. The data in Eudamed.eu is rubbish. It's very difficult to get any decent statistics out of it. So when Eudamed 3 came along, or MDR EUDAMED, the Commission, quite smartly from a statistical point of view, they said stop. They put in rules for everything. It really is complex, and especially if you're going creating your own systems. I put together a template just to take the UDI data, basic UDI, DIs, etc. The biggest of the templates for MDR, it runs to 20 tabs because you can't really keep repeating data. 20 tabs on it. So I'll give you an idea of the complexity that's in this. So do not underestimate. Like I said, you need to work out who needs training, who needs to understand all the terms. When we talk about machine to machine, the majority of the people in the room are just thinking, well, there's a computer there, it'll just kind of look after itself. It's another complex beast. And again, you need people who can understand this. With your project, you have a lot of options. You really do. Do you want to keep it in-house? A lot of this depends on how many devices you have. It's still the same complexity. If you have 10 devices or you have 10,000 devices, you just need the same complexity for each one and just repeat. But do you have the skills in-house? Do the people who have the skills have the time to do it? Have they been given the resources to do it? Because of the Commission delay, you now have time to do it. But I would certainly not wait a year and a half before starting looking at this. Get it done now. The worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, if you get this done now, you get it done in time. You get it done early. By the time Eudamed goes live, all the processes, all the requirements, all the understanding, everybody already has it. It suddenly becomes a project where there's no stress. You leave it a year and a half, you leave it a year, stress in this will build because there's also a finite group of people out there who can actually do these kind of things for you. So the other option then is you can outsource it. You can outsource all of it, you can outsource pieces of it. So many different ways to do the same thing. But the biggest thing is don't delay on it. And the skills that you're going to need. This is it's not a complete picture. But if you ask any IT guy, do you understand XML? If you ask any IT guy, have you worked with some XSDs? 99.9% of them will say, absolutely, no problem, I can do it with my eyes closed.
Okay.
They can't.
Yeah.
They can't. In my 25 years, I've worked with XML many times, and I would have answered yes straight away. I can do it, no problem. This broke my heart. When I was putting together training sessions for people, because a lot of the companies didn't understand what I was talking about to start with. So I said, right, I'll give you training sessions. And I lived inside the XML and the XSDs for months because I knew what my future was going to hold, because this is where I was going to get my consultancy. It took me over 7 weeks to get this together, just to put together the basics on the XML and the XSDs. Don't underestimate the complexity that's in there. Now, if you do the machine-to-machine route, and you decide to keep everything in-house, you're going to need a data exchange expert. There is not a lot of these guys out there. This is not something that every IT guy learns in kindergarten and proceeds through life with. This is a very specialized skill set. So again, if you're looking for people, get them early. When all this is done, when you've got all your UDI, DI data together and your basic UDIs, you've got it all collated, and you're all happy with yourselves, that's only the first part of the project. Because you also have to do the exact same thing for Vigilance. If you're going pushing up the clinical investigation data, you have to do that as well. The clinical investigations is huge. It is double. When we were estimating how many man days it was going to take on the 6 modules, even without all the clinical investigation information, it was at least double the size of the other modules. There's timestamps, there's limits. You must do X before you can do Y, and if they don't do that, it goes back. It is another monstrosity. So, the teams that you put together, the chances are these guys are going to be together for quite a long time. Because when you upload something, that data can get refused. If you make a mistake in it, and you're only allowed to upload 1 megabyte at a time, by the way. 1 megabyte and a maximum of 300 entities within that. So, you have 1,000 devices. We'll round it off and make it simple and say 200 entities per upload. That's 5 uploads. If any device fails, any rule whatsoever, and there is multitudes, but if any of these rules fail, the entire file gets refused. So on your IT team, you are going to have like a batch processing, so that if it gets uploaded, success, then you mark each one as a success. If it gets refused, you only want to mark the ones that have failed, because you don't want to keep uploading everything again. Because if you have a new device, 2 months old, and you've kept uploading it, every single one's a new version. So when Joe on the public comes in, and he goes to the public site, and he says the new hip replacement he's looking at is 2 months old and it's got 15 versions. It's not great marketing. It won't look good. So you want to reduce as much as possible the level of versioning you can do. And incidentally, the changing of the versions, you're only allowed to change a few fields. There's very few fields you can change in it. And as soon as you upload, it's public. Or within 12 hours it'll be public, but there's no deletes in Eudamed. There's no takebacks. As soon as it goes up, it's public. They also have no allowance for a field where you can explain why you're doing a new version. It would have been a lovely thing to have, wouldn't it cost anything? Little field, we're changing this version because someone spelled X wrong. Something simple. But now the public doesn't see that, they just see the multiple versions. There's a field in there called an additional description. And I've suggested, it's not the reason it's there, but I've suggested to some people that this could be used. I just got my 5-minute warning because I keep going. Thank you. This type of field could be used for a little explanation. It's going to be public. It's not going to cost you anything to do it. There's 2,000 characters in it. Maybe a couple of lines explaining might be good marketing. Again, this is your side of things. So, moral of the story: don't underestimate it. Do not leave your project sitting now. You're getting all nicely prepared for MDR. It'll be so much easier if you keep preparing your MDR data as you go along now, rather than coming back in 2 years' time and chasing the marketing people, chasing the IT guys and trying to get it all together. So don't let it sit. Keep pushing ahead. Things you can do now: you can prepare your basic UDI groups. Again, you have to have these done anyway, so you might as well just get it done. Collate the data. Stick it in a spreadsheet. Be careful who you give your data to, by the way. Don't forget this is your data. It costs you a lot of money to put it together. And you also don't want everybody seeing it. So be careful where you store your data. An IT strategy. Decide what you want to do. Do you want to keep it all in-house? Do you want to outsource it? If you want to do machine to machine, why not fake it for now? Get 2 PCs, get 2 virtual machines, and pretend you're uploading to the commission. And pretend that the commissioner is sending you back messages. There's enough information out there, and I can get you information as well, so that you can do these kind of things. So when Eudamed does go live, it is a simple case of just changing a URL. And again, don't forget the MDD devices. You might still need that data in a couple of years' time. Contact details. If you want to have a chat, I'll be on the Spectara stand at 2:30, which is 12E43, just over there. Karina's going to be over there answering your MDR questions as well. This no longer applies totally, but the top line still applies. 26th of May next year, MDR applies. IVDR in 2022 and Eudamed, of course. Again, if you want any training on any of these things, we're still running training courses. And now, the perfect moment for the questions.
Very good choreography.
You like that?
I like that very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Houlihan. In Sofia.